Welcome to the next part of your video training. My name is Dominic and I am a TL at VIPX. In this video, we will be talking about how a teacher can get and maintain more students. So, without further ado, let's begin. Here are some tips for getting more students. Number one, always be punctual. If we're on time, we start class when we say we would start and we end class when it's scheduled to end, students will see that we are trustworthy. We care about their time, not just because they're paying for it, but also because we respect them enough to be there for the whole time. Make sure that your tech is in good working order as well, and your internet is working, because this shows that we are reliable. Not only do they trust us with their time, they trust us to come to class, that we are reliable, that we will be there with them in the class when they have scheduled us to be there with them. And number three, building rapport with students will help improve your retention rate. What does this mean? It means that we care about the students. We will ask them about themselves. We will ask them to tell us about their day. We will talk about the things that they like. This helps them feel that we care about them outside of class. Thus, they will start to think of us eventually as friends. All of my students stayed with me from autumn semester into spring semester. They all stayed with me because they all thought of me as a friend. Now, I hope it's the same for you. Please spend a bit of time in each class. I would say 3 to 4 minutes asking the student about their day, asking them about what they did, what they like. Find out about these things. Spend some time. Don't just spend time on class. I start class a minute early to cover this. Please make sure that you build rapport with them because we are not robots. They are not robots, and we want that human connection on top of it. Make sure you build rapport. It will really help you get more students in the future. Now, let's talk about standardization and specialization. The company has come up with branding, such as these t-shirts, the posters, the backgrounds. They believe that these will really help students engage with us properly in the class. It will help us represent the company, such as using the purple shirts with the logo, as well as the poster. It will really help us represent the company. It will also help provide a comfortable experience for the students. We don't want to be in a messy area. We don't want to have any of these things because it will not make them feel comfortable. So, our location must be professional. Create a workstation that will be used for each shift. So make it in an area that's well lit. In an area where students don't often see somebody walk through. In an area that is clean and tidy. Make sure it's professional. Have a professional background. For me, I don't have a background behind me because it's just space. So I use my wall here. If you have a similar setup, you can do the same thing. Have your camera angled in a certain way during class where they see predominantly the wall, a place where you can put your posters, where the poster will be seen in the camera. So make sure it's a professional background. If you have a classroom, if you're using a classroom, or a library, or an office, that's perfect. But make sure it's professional, clean, and uncluttered. Have a professional appearance. When I say professional appearance, I mean have the company t-shirt. Also, when you do class, try and take a bit of time to make yourself look like you haven't just rolled out of bed. Don't go to class wearing your pajamas. If you have a beard, that's fine. There's no problems with facial hair. Make sure it's trimmed and well maintained, not growing all over the place. Same with the hair. Make sure it's brushed and well combed. Make sure you're well groomed and you look presentable for the students. They will oftentimes come to class in the same way. Visual cues are very, very important for them, how we present ourselves. So try to make yourself look as presentable as possible while using the company t-shirt, which will really help them feel comfortable with the branding of the company. Make sure your name card is on display. Some teachers don't have their name card on the wall, they have it on a stick. That's perfectly fine. Show it at the start of each class, especially with your new students. New students will always need to see your name. What I do is I show them my name here. I also write it on the whiteboard in FC. That will really help them understand my name. Also, if they hover over your picture, they can see your name there as well. So make sure your name card is on display, or at least you show it to them during the class. Make sure you have adequate lighting. Your work area needs to be well lit. We don't want to have a work area that's black. That is not professional. I have a teacher who recently failed her observation because her background was just like mine, but the lights were switched off. So all you saw behind her was black. The only light coming for lighting her face was coming from her computer, and that was not acceptable because there were dark shadows that made her face not look presentable. So make sure that you have a well lit area so the student can see everything that happens on your face, and so that they can see your background as well. You will be putting a lot of time and effort into your background, so make sure you show that off as well. Make sure you have props. If you like to use props in class, we will talk about some recommended props on the next page. And last but not least, have an A4 whiteboard or similar. Now if you have a whiteboard already, that's fine, but I honestly recommend to use the whiteboard in FC. Why? For two reasons. First and foremost, the first and most important reason is when you write something on FC, if you have no way of flipping your camera, the way that your camera, the orientation, of your camera, if you have no way of flipping that, everything you write will be backwards. So it will be very hard for the student to relate with that. Okay, so I recommend using the FC whiteboard, the inbuilt whiteboard there, for the second reason, because it's interactive. So whatever you do there, the students can also participate with their own tools in FC. So make sure that you have the whiteboard open and ready to go in FC to help explain a concept that the student might not understand, to just play a game that the student can also participate in, or a place for the student to write you a question. Maybe they have difficulty saying it and they want to write it. So make sure you have that whiteboard ready to go. Nonetheless, if you do have a small whiteboard or a piece of paper, you can use it for other activities like rewards. Students will set up a reward board to keep track or to show their students exactly what they have gotten for that lesson, and they will have that set up for all their students. So feel free to use it in whatever way you like, but remember, everything you write will appear backwards unless you can flip the orientation of your camera, like me. I was able to do it in a third-party app that came with my webcam. If you can do the same, that would be awesome, and then you can use that whiteboard or paper to the best of your ability. Now let's move on to the last part now. Let's talk about the suggested list of props. Now props could be reward props. So as I said earlier, if you have a whiteboard and you've set it up into a table having each student's name where you can put a reward there, that's great. I have another teacher who likes to draw a face, and every time the student does something well, they will draw a tooth. So by the end of the lesson, the face should be fully teeth, which is awesome, and it really helps the students. Also, if you like to give rewards, FC has its own inbuilt reward app. So you just click that button and it will send a reward. Now some teachers have experienced problems with this because of two reasons. It will increase the amount of CPU usage you have, it will increase the demand on your graphics card, and it will increase the demand on your internet. So make sure that you are operating above the minimum requirements for FC. Otherwise, it may cause problems with your computer. Classroom assistant. This is very fun for the younger students. Bring in a stuffed toy or something, or a puppet. My son has an elephant that he sometimes lends to me because it's his favorite thing in the world, and I bring that into class, and some of my students love it, but again, they're getting quite mature now, so they find it boring. Make sure if you do bring in a classroom assistant, it is for a younger student. Some older students may find it to be demeaning. Okay, make sure it's level appropriate. Microphone, just a toy microphone. So when you're doing a question and answer section, it could be fun to play around. So you're talking and you ask them a question, or you want them to speak, and you'll show them the microphone, and then they will start to speak automatically. That can also be very fun for question and answer, for dialogues if you like. Lesson-centric props. Make sure you find out what the topic of the lesson is before you start the lesson. That way you can understand what things you should bring to class. Let's say, for instance, a camping lesson. If you have a bunch of camping supplies at home, like a tent, Okay, you don't have to open it up, but show them what a tent looks like in the bag, or a sleeping bag, maybe even a camping chair. Show them pictures of fires, pictures, anything to do with campfire or camps. Pictures work really well. Yeah, if you have anything at home that has something to do with a camp, you might even want to go as far as setting up a tent if it can fit in your living room, just to drive home that point. It's up to you. Pictures work fine for me. I download them from Google and upload them into FC, and they can see that there. They really help to understand these new concepts. So yeah, lesson-centric props based on the topic of that lesson. Colors, fruit, passport, shades, clothing. Yeah, clothing's a really easy one because everyone has clothes, and usually we have all the clothes in our house that are required for that. Instructional props, so props that can be used to make the lesson objective clearer. So let's say you've got some difficult vocabulary there. Bring in realia, or bring in flashcards that will really help to drive home the point of, or drive home the concept of those sometimes difficult concepts to understand. Make sure you find good flashcards. Some of them are not so clear. Again, remember that FC is backwards. The camera orientation is backwards. So if they are reading the text, that may be confusing to them. So try and bring, pictures and just, write down the word in FC itself. And then apps. A lot of teachers like to use timers, really cool timers, to help their students answer within a certain time frame. You can download them from the App Store for Apple, or from Play Store for Android. Really, really cool looking apps as well. They can choose like a pirate or a bomb or something like that. They can choose many different scenarios, and yeah, that's really cool. Also games. Some games are okay, but you may not need to download any apps for that, because the teacher share files have all the games that you will need. They are being constantly updated by teachers who find games online and share them in the teacher share file. Likewise, if you find games online that work really well for a certain class, add them to the teacher share file in your Reach or HE folders. So that is the conclusion of our training video for today. Thank you so much for sitting here with me. I hope you take my advice from the past 12 minutes, as it will really help you to improve, or to get more students, and to help them stay with you in the long run. That's what we want to aim for. We want to be fully booked in the coming semesters. So take my advice, because it worked for me, and it helped me stay fully booked until I became a TL. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. See you all then. Bye-bye.